So, wow, blessing. So nice to have you. You're welcome to the Supernatural Teenager. Woo, such a long time. And my name again is Tommy. It's such an honor to be here and to have you here. And today we'll be discussing on the power of association. And this is Blessing. She used to be one of my teenagers. She's a young adult now, and it's such an honor to have her here. I'm going to leave her to introduce herself. We'll get to know her and then we'll get on with the topic. Over to you, Blessing.
Okay, so I'm blessing Torti, and I'm currently a final year student at the Czech University of Life Sciences. I'm studying IT. It wasn't my first choice, but I'm glad I'm doing it now. Yes. Like I mentioned, I'm graduating this year, and I am more of a data enthusiast, so my focus would be data science and just exploring the data world and just having
Nice.
fun. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That is a whole beautiful world. I took a course on data analytics last year and it was really amazing. So nice one. So once again, we're happy to have you on
A
the
pleasure.
Supernatural Teenager. Thank you. So we're going to discuss the power of associations. And well, this month of February, we've been talking about, crushes and managing your emotions. And then for this concluding sessions, we just want to, you know, go over relationships generally, and then we're diving down to associations. And because we know that, like, there's a saying that goes, show me your friend, and I'll tell you who you are. So we are a function of who we move with. So we just want to pick your brain on, what you feel about the power of association, and then we'll get on with it. So you can give us an intro for a few minutes, and then from what you say, then I'll ask you questions. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. So, when you gave me this topic, it was quite a big one to actually dive into. But I think once someone sits down and think about these things, you find out that your life is not only based on your personal thoughts or your personal opinions. It's also based on people that are around you, right? And for me, I had friends. I had family members. I had a lot of people around me. And after looking through all of these things, I realized that those people played a major role in where I am today and some of the choices I made. And some of them, I would say I wish I could go back and change it a bit, but what is done, right? So, like you said in the beginning, yes, there's a popular saying, show me your friend and I will tell you who you are. It's very common, and most people tend to overlook it and think it's just a saying, right? But as a teenager, I understood it very well. I had a friend while growing up, and she was very wild, if I would say. She was not like me. I'm a very quiet, stay on my own, don't talk, don't do too much crazy things, right? And I got into high school and I met her, and she wasn't so quiet. She was more out there and sassy, and she could do the outgoing things. I could not do that, right? But she was someone that I was drawn to, maybe because she was a bit opposite to me. So I was drawn to her, right? And throughout the school years, I realized that she impacted me in like many ways. So I started becoming someone who could speak up for myself.
Mm.
And I also influenced her in so many ways because she started being more cool-headed, and you look at all these things and you think like, oh, you wouldn't notice when you're making an impact in someone's life, and you wouldn't notice when someone is actually making an impact in your life, whether it be positive or negative, but it's there. And it takes someone who is very cautious to know. And for me, I feel, okay, let's talk about in Africa. I feel family members also have that very big
Dip.
control over kids, especially kids. Yes, they do. Parents. Oh God. It's like they have this plan for you from the beginning to like when you're grown up living their house. They have this plan that I want my child to go to school and I want the person to become a lawyer, a doctor. My mom tried that. It didn't work for any of us. It didn't work. I'm glad it didn't work because it wasn't for me. But I'm also glad there was parts where she allowed us to choose, right? She influenced most of it, but she still gave us that choice of these are your options, don't mess it up.
Mm,
Okay?
mm,
There was that influence and it was it was more of a stepping stone to things I wanted to do. It was a very positive influence because if you don't have that push, especially from your parents, then somehow you get somehow distracted
yeah.
and somehow you fall, right? But
All right.
there was always that push, especially from my mom, right? And if you also look at ch- kids that are not that privileged to have parents that push them, you
Mm,
realize it's their parents that they are listening to or they're looking up to. So I feel a lot of things impact how you grow or how you view life. So to me, yeah, kind of. So association, it's a really
it's the
powerful thing. It's
yeah.
very powerful. It's very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that blessing. So yeah, association is quite deep because like from that word, show me your friend, I'll tell you who you are. You can say that if you move with a specific set of people, like within 5 years, we can definitely see the impacts, like you said, positive or negative in your life. So now, how would I say this? So, in relation to, following trend, peer pressure, how would what would you have to say to teenagers out there? I see, like, for example, in Canada, I'm still like in the teens church, and I see a couple of, teenagers who normally wouldn't do some things, but because of the specific, friends they move with, they now do it because that seems to be the in thing. So, what would you say about, yeah, dealing with peer pressure?
Okay. Dealing with peer pressure. Um, for teenagers, it's a whole different story. It's like they have a different life compared to adults. Like when I was a teen, I felt like no one understood me, or I was completely different, or I was in a complete different universe,
Planet.
right? And now that I'm an adult, I'm like, why did I feel that way, right? But then I see all these teenagers that I know now, and then I'm like, I understand how you feel. I can
Mm,
understand some. I'm not that far from when I was a teenager. I'm still quite young, right? And I can relate, right?
mm,
And for me, I that stage in life is when some most kids are trying to find themselves. They're trying to find what they like,
mm,
right? Or and then the whole point of social media these days has messed up a lot of
everything.
kids' view on life and their thoughts, especially. So I feel if, as a teenager, it's always important to know that there is nobody that is like you. That is
Mm,
just the first part. There is no one in this world that is like you. And if you are trying to be like somebody else, it's going to be harder because you cannot live the same life as another person. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're handling, like the emotions that they're handling. And if you're
yeah.
trying to copy them, it'll be harder for you because you're not them. That's the thing. That's one thing I realized. I'm not somebody else. I'm me, right? And for me, I don't peer pressure wasn't so much of a big issue because I was more of if I'm doing this, I know I am doing this. I think it also what helped me kind of was I'm the first daughter, so I have this responsibility kind of thing on me. So it's not about I'm doing this because someone is forcing me. It's I'm doing this because I want to do it. I know what I'm doing. This is not me, and I'm just doing it because I just want to do it, right? But for other kids, that's not the case. Some kids are looking for, they're just looking for a space where they can belong.
Mm,
And it's hard to find that if you do not follow some type of norm in this 21st century. It's really hard to find that space,
mm,
right? And I feel for adults, if they don't understand this, they make it harder for kids to find that space. It's
mm,
very hard for a child to be vulnerable with an adult, and that's the best person you can be vulnerable with because they have gone through this and they know how to direct you. But kids feel you will not understand. You will tell me old, untrending things. I don't want to do these old, untrending things. I want to be part of the world right now, right?
mm,
But whenever I meet a teenager, the first thing I like to tell them is you cannot do things the same way other people are doing it,
mm,
right? Because you will get the same result. If you want to follow the trend, when the trend dies, what
what
exactly will you
happens?
do?
Mm,
Right? You look for another trend to jump into, so you're just following the wheel and following the wheel. If it dies, you find something else to do. So for me, it's always better to have this open relationship with them, right? And to just give them that space to be themselves. And you will be sure that you can learn a thing or two from teenagers, even though they feel like the world is completely different for them. You can learn a thing or two about them. And mostly it's just giving them that space to find themselves, right? And telling them that no matter what they want to do, there's someone there to actually be with them.
mm,
And then you would have the space to correct and guide them. But if you're trying to impose things on kids, they would push against it. They will so push against it. No matter how you try, they will always push against it. Um, the example, yes, the example with, I will use Nigeria because my mom is Nigerian. She's just Nigerian. There's no, as she is a Nigerian woman, right? And for Nigerian parents, like not now, now some of the Nigerian parents, they're becoming more modern, anyways. But the Nigerian parents of then, they are very strict. They are very strict, right? And my mom would always have this curfew. She would always have this rule of when you want to go out. I want to talk to your friends. I want to know where you're going and stuff like that, right? And then when I became a teenager, and we were not living in Nigeria, so that felt very weird because it wasn't a dangerous place. And trying to talk to my friends' parents, they would find it weird and stuff like that. So the thing was that instead of being open with her and telling her, oh, I want to go to my friend's place, I would always just find a back door to it. So yeah, I felt like her rules were weird and why are you making me do this? Right? It's either I would find a back door to it or I would just not do that thing because I don't want to go with your rules. Yeah,
mm.
that's not normal. For me, it wasn't normal. But when you start growing up, you realize that there was a reason why she said all these things, right?
That is
But
correct.
as a teenager you will not know, like you will not know. To you, you're just starting to understand life and you want to explore, right?
Mm,
But
mm,
you feel like your parents or older people that are around you wouldn't understand that feeling. And the elderly people have actually kind of not understood. Most of the elderly people, they're still kind of using their past knowledge to handle kids of now, which
mm,
is not working, right? So that's why a lot of kids resort to their friends.
mm.
And when they resort to their kid advising a kid, what exactly are you supposed to get out of it, right?
Disaster. Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? So that's how kids work. That's how teenagers work too. A teenager advising a teenager.
Mm.
What exactly do you know in life? Right?
Nothing. But now that you look back, you see that actually you see reasons for those things. So great. I mean, thank you for for sharing that part of it. I am also a Nigerian mom, no matter where I am. So I know that those things are actually there to guide because especially in, this part of the world or in the diaspora, we see that some things are a bit relaxed. Like, if a child is not dating at, even as teenage years is, there's something wrong, but that's not how it should be. So that's why we have those rules. But thank you for mentioning that. So from what you said earlier, you mentioned, find yourself. So you have to be able to, even discover who you are. That's the age of discovery. That's you're just, teenage years, you're living childhood, you're going into adulthood and trying to just understand where you fit into this giant maze that we call life. And so, based on you or your experiences, how were you really able to discover yourself? And then what is the word you have for, teenagers, maybe let's say people who are just becoming teenagers, how to discover themselves? What really helped you?
Okay. What helped me? One, God.
Mm.
I cannot dispute the fact that studying,
I I apologize. I think it was my network. Sorry about that.
no problem. Okay. Like I was saying, what helped me? First and foremost, a closer relationship with God. I think that's the first thing that helped me in my journey of discovering myself. And also my mom. That
Mm,
was also, she played a big role in the part of finding myself. So according to the Bible, it says, as an iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another,
mm,
right? I, at some point in life, I felt like I was just a Christian. I really didn't have that relationship with God, and it was just a religious activity for me, right? But when I started studying the Bible and actually getting to know more of the word, I realized that a lot of problems that I thought were problems were
nothing.
not really problems. And it was explained and understood properly in the Bible by other people, right? And so it was easier to read someone else's story
Mm,
than having to go and discover it for yourself. So, yes, that's why I said a relationship with God actually opened my eyes to what I wanted with my life, right? And then my mom, whenever I look at my mom, I see someone that's very strong and determined. She really didn't need support from people. She wasn't dependent on people. Yes, she had that dependency on God. That's also another thing, right? There was no one time that I looked at my mom and she was sitting down or feeling sorry
mm,
or trying to discover something. She was always up in doing something. So that's one person that also gave me like a clear path on myself. So I felt that, okay, if she could do this and she has this type of life, I also want a good life,
mm,
even better than what she has, right? So I don't want to mess it up now. And then there's always something she kept saying, I don't want you to make the same mistake that I made, right?
mhm.
So it was kind of
Reminder.
what's an echo in my ear
Mm,
every time. And then there's also a saying that people say that experience is the best teacher.
Mm.
And for me, it's always better to learn from someone's experience than
Thank you.
experiencing
Doesn't
it
have
by
to be
yourself.
yours.
It doesn't have to be mine, right? So whenever I read the word, it draws me closer to God and it
Oh my goodness. I really apologize. I don't know what's happening today. I'm
you know, it
all right.
happens, it happens. Probably the connection
Yeah, you were talking about
happens. It's all right.
mommy being a role
Gonna unmute
model.
again. Okay. Yeah, so I basically said everything. So the two things that helped me in my journey was a closer relationship with God and also having someone to look up to. So I feel those two things are important because as a kid growing up, as a Christian child of God growing up, okay, I can't just say a kid
Mm,
because everyone has different experience. It's there is no friend like Jesus.
mm,
That's just it. There's actually no friend like Jesus because in times when you feel like no one understands, he will always understand because there are times when your parents would not understand how you're feeling, but that relationship with God, you can always go back to him and be vulnerable and tell him, okay, this is how I feel as a kid. And he would always find a way to tell you something. It could be right, or it can be through the words. So that relationship with God is very important to me. And also having someone to look up to. It may not necessarily be your parents, it could be a teacher, a mentor, but not somebody your age, not your age mates, but
well, that's
just
it.
someone older, just
Mm-hmm.
someone older that you can look at this person and say, yes, this is someone that has put in the work
Mm,
and is not distracted or knows what the person is talking about because there are different type of adults.
mm.
Some know what they're saying and others may not know what they're saying. So
That is correct.
always find the ones that know what they're saying and you can see from their life is a testimony of what they tell you, right? So that's just it for me.
Mm, that is amazing. That's amazing. And honestly, I love that. And I love the way you basically said like your mom is like your role model because I mean, you see these things work in our life and you want to be able to do better for yourself. That is totally amazing. And I love it when I hear, young adults, even teenagers talk about their relationship with God because even when we say it to teenagers, when I say it to teenagers, they're like, oh, Auntie told me, you like,
Welcome back.
thank you. Well, we are rounding up, and honestly, I really enjoyed this session, the power of association. Blessing has been able to, first of all, let us know that you're in discovery, being a teenager, this is your like discovery age, and also the choices that you make, the decisions you make now would either make or mar you years from now. So, and one thing that has helped her, our relationship with God, our relationship with our mom. And so, just final thoughts today. What would really, I know we've talked about trend and peer pressure as well. Just final thoughts concerning your journey, how maybe relationships or choosing friends wisely has impacted, because Blessing is one teenager I know that is very focused even as a teenager. Yeah, you could see some little things here and there, but she's always been very focused and honestly very God-fearing. So how you navigated, and what would you really, just final thoughts regarding associations, choosing friends, and all of those. Thank you.
Okay, so my final thoughts would surround yourself with friends that actually uplift you and friends that you can share your dreams with. Never bend for someone. Do not change
Mm,
yourself just so you can fit in with someone else. That's where you start to turn and miss it, right? Don't change yourself just so you can fit into other people. And also do not be afraid to end some certain friendships a relationship, do not be scared. They can't do anything to you, actually.
Mm.
It's better to fix things at an early stage than wait till when it affects you or affects your future. So don't be afraid to walk away from certain
Toxic.
relationships. It's not that hard. Like I said, always find a mentor, someone you can look up to, and you can view their life. You can see the testimony and what they're saying through their life, right? Not just through their speech. It's
Words.
their, yeah, actually, no. Like, find someone that you can look at their life and say, yes, this person knows what he or she is saying. And then also remember that your association today can be the door that you need to be opened in the next future. So network with people that are wise, people that know where they're going in the future. Don't
Mm.
just surround yourself with a lot of people. Like, choose people. It's choosing, like, choice. That's the thing. Like, choose.
Yeah.
Take your time and choose, because these people are could help you later in life, right? You
Mm.
don't want to have people that if you wake up at 12 a.m. and something is wrong with you and you call them, they'll be telling you things that cannot help you. Choose people that when you wake up at that dear time and you tell them, my friend, this is happening to me, you will receive words of encouragement and
Mm.
words that will uplift you, right? And lastly, build your relationship with God. I cannot sound that enough. Build your relationship with God. There is no friend like Jesus. You cannot find a friend like Jesus. I'm telling you, you cannot. He's always there and he understands. Even
Mhm.
if you think he doesn't, he understands,
Mm.
right? And the
Mm.
Bible is the proof that he loves and cares about you. He wrote 66 books just
Mm.
for you. What more do you want? Just build that relationship. Like, that's all I can say. Like, no friend would do that. Just
Mm. Mm.
that's all I can say.
That
So
is correct.
that's all.
That is correct. Thank you so much, Blessing. Thank you. So just to wrap it up, I also want to say, like, surround, like she had said, surround yourself with people who have content, not just empty containers. Empty barrels make the loudest noises. So surround yourself with people with content. When there's content, they don't need to make noise, they make news. So surround yourself with people who also challenge you. So people who maybe are better than you. Surround
Mhm.
yourself with those people so that they can also bring out the best in you. Anyone who always puts you down, talk you down, you don't need those people in your corner. So, just choose wisely and always know that you are a reflection of your association. So if you choose wrongly, then you will be seen in the wrong light in a few weeks or months or years. It's just a matter of time. So choose wisely. And then, like she said, the best friend you can have is honestly, sometimes it feels like, you guys just say these things. It's cliche. If you can build a relationship with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit, it will help you navigate life. It's like dropping a GPS in your lap and you're now you have Expo through life. You're able to navigate life. You can tell him about those things that hurt you that you can't even tell anybody. He understands, and you just find peace when you do that. So, once again, Blessing, we just want to appreciate you. Like on behalf of the Supernatural Teenager, we want to say thank you so much. It's been like 2 weeks of trying to navigate what time works based on your time. On your whatever. But we just want to thank you. It's been such an amazing time having you. And we're very, very grateful. And we just pray that the Lord will bless you. He would keep
Amen.
you, cause his face to shine upon you, grant you speed of accomplishment. And it's amazing. Congratulations on your upcoming graduation. That's so
Thank you so
amazing. Like,
much.
that's a
Thank
nice
you.
one. We just pray that the Lord will make life easy for you. Your steps will be ordered by Him. Everything will work in your favor. You will be preferred. You'll be sought after in your generation, and you become a reference point in the name of
Amen.
Jesus. Thank you. Thank you so much. My love to mommy. My love to your siblings. God bless you. Thank you for being
God
with us
bless
today.
you.
Have a
Thank you
good
so
one.
much for having me.
Thank you. Take care now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.